Alright, hey folks, John Musgrave here. We're going to do a little how-to video on a European skull mount. I won't show you exactly how to mount it because there's several different ways to mount it. And this is just one way of the way I do a European mount. So I dug the big 8 up that you guys seen me shoot here, and got him dug up. He's all pretty fired up and he's ready to mount with this with fence line. And so now today we're going to pull fence line out of the ground. What I done was I dug a hole big enough for the head to sit in. First off, once I dug that hole, then I went right behind the earlobe and cut at the top of the skull and cut down to just below his neck. And then I brought that over, buried it in the ground, and covered the head up with dirt, left the antlers sticking out. Then I got me a nice box. This is a recycling box that I've had for years. It was just big enough to fit over the top of his antlers, and we're getting ready to dig it up now. But I want to show you now. There's how I got it, right there. So I buried it, dug me a little trench around, and then buried dirt up and around. As you can see, it's up and around this lip down here so that no mice or anything can get in it. We've done that just because I've had that, and then we've got the rocks on the top so that A, the wind don't blow it off, and B, so that the squirrels can't knock it over or anything dig underneath it and try to raise that up. That's 3 pretty good sized rocks there that I've got piled on the top of it. And as you can see, right down in here is where I had the big 8 buried. So now we're going to get to this, and we're going to get this out of the ground now, and we'll let you guys see how he looks, and hopefully we're going to be able to clean him up as well today. Get these rocks removed. I'm sure there's going to be some mice up underneath this thing, and I just throw, these are rocks that I've had for a few years, and I pile them on the tops of these every time I do a head. And it is now, by the way, I buried this Thanksgiving week, and it is now July 3rd. So and I'd buried that big 8 a week prior, so hopefully this thing's all eat up. The bugs done their job, and it's mostly eat up, so all I got to do is take the water hose to it and spray it off. But without further ado, let's give fence line the joy of seeing daylight again. As you can see, he's buried up to his top tines, as you can see there. Let me zoom in here, and we're going to pull him out nice and gently, and we'll see what he looks like. Nice and gentle pull. You don't want to pull too hard. You don't want to break that end nose piece that's going to be up underneath this. Shake the dirt off. He looks like he's ready to go. Got some digging around to do with him. So now we're just going to start working some of this fur that is still kind of stuck. Most of it should come right on off. And they do stink, folks. This is not for the faint at heart, that's for sure. He would have probably been ready last week. I probably could have undone him about the same time I undone that other one, but wanted to make dadgum sure that everything was eat off of here. And you got bugs and you got some stuff in here, but looks like for the most part he's ready to roll. We got him out, and as you can see, kind of halfway cleaned up, so I'm gonna go get the garden hose all set up, and we'll resume back then. All right, folks, so we got him up here, got the garden hose ready, just using standard garden hose. It's one of them adjustable nozzles on it, and I'm gonna try to keep my body out, you know, and explain to you how I'm doing it. We're gonna try to spray most of the mud and stuff off of him, try to spray out all the creases and crevices in the skull, and then we'll let him dry for a little bit, and then we'll go back. But it's a long drawn out process. Like I said, I just start spraying away. And then no particular way, no particular spot do I start. Just flip it like this and start hosing it down. Sometimes you got to take a pocket knife. Scrape some of the stuff off. And like I said, I just no different way, just spraying the mud and the brain matter, whatever's left stuck on them. Spraying off. Scraping off. So you want to get as much of that stuff off as you can with the hose. Because if you don't get this stuff off, then it will be stinky, and you'll never get that smell out of it. So you want to get as much of it as you can, and that's why I let them sit until this long. You can see he's pretty well coming clean now. You want to be particularly careful with this nose. That is very easy to break. This is just a quick rinse off, and then I do the final. And I try to have a kind of a straight stream, as you can see. Just take your knife and as much as you can. Now that I've done that, I mean, you can see I've gotten quite a bit off of him. I sprayed down in here, down in there. So now we're going to come back and start picking him up and start looking at all the fine creases and crevices that we may need to spray with a little bit of pressure. All in all, you don't look that bad. And this is not, like I said, this is not for the faint of heart. If you got a weak stomach, it may not be something you want to try to tackle. Some guys take pressure washers to them. I don't recommend that. A lot of very easily breakable parts. And then just keep going over it like that, folks. A lot of stuff. As you can see up in here, I've got a lot to clean, so you just continue doing that until you get most of the stuff off. And then you go inside and you do the final scrub up with a toothbrush and that sort of stuff. I mean, you got stuff up in here you got to pry out of there. And in all honesty, I could have maybe let him sit another week or two, but I think he's good and ready. I think we can get him good and cleaned up. So we'll break for now. I'm going to work on these creases and crevices, and we'll come back when we get him in the house to scrub him up. All right, folks. So I got him in the house, getting up some hot soapy water now. Take my watch off here for that. All I got is an old toothbrush. As you can see, I got most of the stuff off. So now what you want to do is you're going to be scrubbing. That was kind of nasty. I don't even know what that was. So either way, you're just going to be scrubbing up all the dirt and grime that is on this, and you want all that mud and stuff off of there before you go, and you're going to soak him. And hit them teeth good. Just keep dipping your toothbrush in there. And all I got is just regular soap and water. There's no additives in this water at all. Like I said, be careful with that nose piece. That is very, very fragile. You will break it. I broke the one that I found last summer. Scrubbing him up and snapped it right on off of there. But just concentrate on all this, get all the mud and goop, gunk off. And at this time, if you find any other white stuff, which is brain matter and all that good stuff, whatever's left, you're going to want to try to pull your pocket knife out, get that cut off of there as best you can. Look in the holes as you're scrubbing. And I mean, just keep scrubbing, keep scrubbing, keep scrubbing. Kind of like Dory. Keep swimming, keep swimming, keep swimming, keep swimming. Well, keep scrubbing, keep scrubbing. Scrub until you, even if you think that ain't, if you think it's enough, it ain't enough. Scrub. You want all stuff off. I mean everything. You don't want anything left on this skull as far as dirt, brain matter, any of the membrane left from the hide, any of that, because it will smell. And when it, oh my goodness, it's a smell unlike anything else. And then you're still going to have a little bit of a smell, but once we get to the final step, that smell seems to go away. I even get down in this as well. So I'm going to continue doing this, and when we get to the step where I'm going to put him down in some water and let him soak overnight, I'll be back with you. Alright folks, so we are back now. Got him all clean. It looks pretty good. We found quite a bit of stuck up in these cracks and crevices and everything else in here, sprayed down in there real good. That all done. So now for this step, what you guys are going to need: 5-gallon bucket, bottle of peroxide, plastic wrap. I use very hot soapy water, so I've got a 1.5 gallon pail here that I'll put a little bit of dish soap in, not very much, and then I'll fill this up with hot water. And I also use some sort of tape to help hold the plastic wrap. So first off, you want to get you some plastic wrap, and what you're doing now is you're trying to protect the bases is what you're doing. And pardon me with the sleeveless shirts, and it's hot, and just trying to stay a little cool. It's humid out here today. We've had a lot of storms here in Illinois. I'm sure you guys have all heard. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate it. So I'm going to rip off my first piece of plastic wrap. Plastic wrap. Gotta love it. What I do is I fold this baby in half. You're going to pick your skull up. And what you're going to want to do is get as close to underneath here as you can and wrap it around your skull. And you may have to make your plastic wrap a little smaller. It looks like I'm going to have to because of the way the brow tines come around. So I'm going to fold this. So now I'm folding it in quarters. So let me try to back up here. I'm trying to stay in the view of the camera here so you guys can see exactly how I do it this first go around. So we'll prop him up here on my leg. Sorry, I don't have a cameraman to help me do this today. So we'll get as close as I can down here. Tuck it up under. And you're just going to wrap it around this base. And stay as close as you can to the top of that base. What you're doing is protecting the bottom of this base so that you don't whiten or do anything of that nature. And see, when I came back around, I went too far. So sometimes this takes a couple of tries, but you just got to keep doing it. And what you end up with is something just like that. So now what I do is I'll get her wrapped around, get her as tight as I can. My pocket knife back out. And let that kind of just sit there for the minute. Get you a little piece of tape. And all you're doing is just using this tape to hold that plastic wrap in place. So it don't have to be a very big piece. It don't have to wrap all the way around. I have used tape before, but plastic wrap works better. Get that as tight as you can. And there we go. We got the first side done, as you can see. I kept it up about as close as I could to the top, because you want to try to get that as wide as you can, as far up as you can, and sometimes it's just not easy, especially if you got a bigger base buck. It's an easier way than taking it to the taxidermist, in my opinion, to display your trophies. I like doing it. It's cheaper, and it's cheaper if you do it your own way. It ain't as fast. Of course, you can take these to a taxidermist, and they can stick it down and get the flesh-eating beetles and do that. You can boil it off. That's a long, grueling process because you got to skin all the hide off. You've got to then boil all the meat off, which takes several hours. Then not only that, but then you got to turn around, and on top of that, then you got to take the pressure washer and get all the excess meat off. And to me, this is just more time consuming. I'd rather just stick him in the ground. I mean, if you want to hurry up and quick display of your mount, by all means, take it to a taxidermist. They can do it. Me personally, I'll explain how I do it. I like the natural look of the skull, so I do not do much whitening at all. The peroxide helps with that somewhat, so it'll take some of the color out of there, not all of it, and it depends on your ground type too, your dirt type. We have pretty dense stuff, so here we go. We're going to do that again on this side. Again, staying as close as you can. Tuck that up under, wrap back around, and back. Oh, it looks like we're doing this one's going pretty good. Do that. Again, let her set for a second. You can, if you can't hold it in your leg because the rack's too big, what have you, you can set it down. It don't hurt to set him down. Get you a piece of tape. That's what I'm doing here. Like I said, it ain't got to be a very big piece of tape. All you're doing is trying to hold that plastic wrap in place while it soaks overnight. Take that plastic, take that tape, wrap that plastic wrap on around. Go ahead, stick that back to it. Like I said, that should help hold that plastic wrap up to it. So now we're gonna prep our bucket, and I got a thing of hydrogen peroxide here. Some people say use it, some people don't. What I do is I just take the cap, pour it in, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's probably more like 4.5 to 5 if you measured it out. But I just hurry up, pour it just like you do a shot glass, dump her down in the bucket. So now I'm going to go in, I'll get just a little bit of soap and I'll show you. That'll be for the first go around, and then we're going to start getting him stuck in there. Now I remember how I did the other buck. What I do is stick it down in here. So he's stuck down in the bucket, as you can see. And then I just start pouring my water over it. I'll be right back. I only do this for the first go around. There's your soap, just a little bit. First bucket gets the soap. Sometimes I put it in the 5-gallon bucket itself. Probably, I'm going to say probably a teaspoon probably is about what I use. The soap helps, and what I got is I use Ajax. It's a degreaser. What it does is it helps break down the grease that's on the skull, and the hydrogen peroxide helps that as well. And the hot water, and once you get it filled up, I will just start dumping our water in. Okay, we have a hot water running in the house. We're ready to start filling her up. Now that I got the bucket full, we got some suds. Dump that first one in just like that, and then you're just going to continue filling it up. Once I get it just about all the way to where I need it, we'll come back to you. Okay folks, so I got him just about where I need him, just about all the water where I need it. What you're doing is you want to try not to soak these bases even though you've wrapped them, and you want to get it just up over this part of here, just enough where the water's covering that. So what I have found is to dip him in there and try to hold him just like this here. You want to find whether you can stick a stick, a board, or something. So what I have found works best for me, and we're going to go ahead and do it now. I've got a bungee cord, and I do it up underneath my carport. And move this around here so you can see exactly how I'm doing it. And I did have to move some of the soap suds around a little bit. So you would carefully, what I do is I carefully scoot it over. And like I said, you want to try to keep them bases out, and the only way to get this back part covered is to keep them bases out for sure. So the last one I did, I just took, wrapped around him, and tied him over here to the edge of my mower. That kept it up out of the water as much as possible. And as you can see, I still got probably one more bucket, and I got him tied up. We're ready to start soaking, but I'm going to get some more, and we'll come back as soon as I get it, and I'll zoom in and show you exactly what I'm talking about. Alright folks, so here we are. We got it all the water in. As you can see, all the water is up over the back end of the skull. The soap suds are touching the bases of the horns, the antlers, but those will die down. That's not a big issue. We'll zoom back out. Whoop. And yeah, that's part one of it. And we got him soaking. So now we'll let him soak for 24 hours, and then we'll come back tomorrow, pull him out, let him dry, and I'll explain the rest of it. But once I get him out, I'll show you about what he looks like. You've seen what he looked like before the peroxide, and the peroxide will help take some of the whiteness or whiten it up just a little bit. Like I said, I like the natural look, and we'll go a little more in detail about whitening and that sort of thing tomorrow when we come back. Alright folks, it has been just about 24 hours now. It's actually been about 22 and a half since we put it in there, 23 hours. So the extra hour ain't gonna make or break it too much. We're gonna pull this out of the water now and we'll show you guys what it looks like. As you can see, there's a lot floating on the top. That did get out a lot. The water is quite dirty, so hopefully that took care of we got the degreasing done. So we'll back this out a little bit. We'll pull it out, let you guys see what it looks like. So as you can tell, it probably did lighten it up a little bit. What we're going to do now is shake all this water out. We're going to get this off. And as you can tell, it did get a little bit of the bases, but not too bad. Get all this off of here. And we're going to continue this on in the house. We're going to take it in, spray it off, scrub it up. We'll see you back in the house. Alright folks, as you can see, we got her back in the house now. We're going to get the water going. So you're going to get this all sprayed off. Look for anything that might have still be caught in the cracks and crevices of the head. Any leftover meat. But most importantly, you want to get all that gunk and stuff sprayed off that did seep out of the holes. I mean, as you can see, you got plenty of the fat and the goop and oh my. And it's probably easier to do this stuff in the do it easier with a garden hose, but I prefer the sink with a little bit more light, so I can see a little better. And I've still got some up in here, so we got to concentrate there. I said this is the time to get all that stuff off. So I'm going to continue doing this, but what I want to do now is explain to you guys. So what most guys will do once they get this done, figure out what my wife did with my meat thermometer. I found out that to get down in them little creases and crevices, my little meat thermometer works good. But I'll shut the water off here. I'm going to continue scrubbing this and continue rinsing it off, getting all this stuff out. But what most guys do now is once they get that all sprayed out, they will go ahead and stick it out in the sun, which is what I'm going to do, let it dry. And then once they let it dry, some guys like to have their skull a little wider, and you can do this if you want your skull a little lighter. Like I said, I like the natural look of the skull, and this is pretty about as natural as you're going to get. Like I said, I did throw some of that in there, but what most guys do is they'll go to your local beauty salon and get whitener, hair whitener. And then you would cover the bases, and you'd paint this whole entire skull with that hair whitener. Leave it on for a few hours, let it go. I did one that away, and I'll spin the camera around here and let you guys see it. But there he is right there. That is an 11 point that I killed with my shotgun several years back. I left the whitener on there for probably 2 hours and then hosed her off. We'll finish spraying this off, get everything out of the creases and crevices, and then we'll be back with you as soon as we get that done, and I'll show you what it looks like as far as a finished product. Alright folks, we got him done. Everything's all sprayed off. Here's how he turned out. So now what we're going to do is, like I said, I like the natural look, so I'm going to stay with the natural look. At this time, you would want to take him out. What we're going to do, we're going to take him outside. I'll lay him on my picnic table. I'll lay him like this. Let that inside dry for a little while. Then I'll go back out. I'll flip him over, and I'll do this side. But as you can see, he's all cleaned up, ready to roll. So that's what we're going to do now. All right, folks. As you can see, got him all done. It's pretty good. He's all dried up, ready to go. Now we got to preserve him. And even if you bleach your skull, I would still recommend doing this. Even if you do this once or twice. Bought this from Dollar General. It seems to do a pretty good job. Gives pretty good coverage. So most everybody should know how to spray paint. You just spray it on like a can of spray. I start like this, and then I'll flip him over. Once I do all this, get it dry, I'll do 3 heavy coats, flip him over, do 3 heavy coats on this side with that, and then the job should be completed. And once we get it all said and done, we'll bring him back to you. We'll come back. But like I said, I do 3 heavy coats on each side, make sure I hit all the creases and crevices. Each time I will spray down inside here, down in through here, down through the nose piece, and try to hit all the little creases and crevices just in case it didn't get anything out. It didn't get everything out of there, so that it covered the smell and it also preserves the inside. So I'm going to take care of that. Most everybody should know how to spray paint. So I'm going to take care of this, and once we get it all done, well, you know what? Some people don't know how to spray paint. So take the can vigorously. And I just start on one side. And this takes approximately 1 can of spray paint, or 1 can of spray paint, 1 can of clear coat. And like I said, I try to make sure I spray down in them nostrils real good, down in all the creases and crevices. And I have noticed with this stuff, it will turn white on the outside with these heavy coats. And it kind of looks like you might have messed your head up, but let me tell you, you didn't. Once it completely dries, it looks good. So, like I said, get around them bases, and pretty much all there is to it. I let each coat dry about 15 minutes in between each coat before I hit it again. And I'll come back, hit her again. So I'm going to continue to do that. That'll probably take me another, let's see, so 45 minutes, about another hour and a half. So about an hour and a half total time of spray painting this. So we're not really spray painting, but clear coating it. So once I get the finished product done, we'll bring the video back and we'll show you the finished product. Alright folks, we got him all done. It's 3 coats. I don't know if you can really tell it too much as far as how shiny he is, but he ain't real shiny. So like I said before, do this mainly to preserve it. Also gives it a nice sheen. It looks pretty good on there. That's about all I got for you. Again, the poor man's way of doing a European mount. I think I probably have spent, if you want to count the soap and the hydrogen peroxide, I've probably spent 20 bucks on this. Now he's ready for a board or something of that nature. I will post pictures on the page once I get it all done with him, with fence line and that big 8. But thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it. Like and follow our page, like and follow the sponsors page, and make sure you hit that notification bell so you get notified when we do little things like this. Thank you.